it was a little bit overwhelming. Nobody wants to see children hurt. Nobody does. And so I was initially almost, I almost empowered myself. Like, we are going to find this baby tonight. Like, I don't care what we have to do, who we have to call, where we have to look, or how long it's going to take. We're going to find this baby. And the further the investigation, the whole circumstances, the further it went in, the more real it was that there was an actual baby that was definitely stranded somewhere. And then it just got to the point where I was I was mad. I was upset. I was upset that somebody would put a small child into this position. Um, the religious portion of me, of course, after several attempts and several hours, I sat down and I prayed, and I just got this feeling of, yeah, it's got to be that road you went up, Ross. It has to be. There's no other place that it could be, even though it wasn't verified. So then we went back and I was able to talk to the dude a little bit, not getting any information from, the suspect at all, but, I tried. I tried saying, hey, where did you crash? Where's your baby? And, one of the first things that he told me was, I would never hurt my baby. It's right in front of us. It's right here. Can't you see it? The silhouette of the baby. And I just like, dude, where's this crash? We have to have a starting point so that we can find your baby. Because that's all I cared about at that point. I didn't care about, truly didn't care about criminal charges or making other people happy there. I wanted to find a 5 month old baby that had been stranded in the woods, and I was going to do whatever it took to find this kid. Um, Fast forward a little bit, talked to a corporal sergeant who did an amazing job running that scene. Truly did, and he's one of my best friends. And he gave me the go ahead. We have a relationship that's just that, like, Ross, do what you need to do. I know that we're getting busy. Just do what you got to do because I trust your gut. That's basically how that played out with him. So we called Nick Schultz out, and I said, Zach, I need a four wheeler. I have to have a four wheeler, or we're not going to get this baby out tonight. And we didn't even know at that point that that's where it was, just running on guts. Um, Nick was Nick actually has a trainer, a trainee with him. So typically, when you're training somebody, you're attached to the hip with the trainee. He goes where you go, period. There's no questions asked. So Nick got there and was more than likely under the assumption that he was going to just look for a kid on the four wheeler. And when he got there and found out that, he's like, yeah, I'm going with him because I just had this gut feeling that I was going to take him to where the only place in our mind that this car could have been. And he was totally cool with it. He's like, yeah, my trainee's going to stay here with Zach Sargent, and me and you are going to go on a four wheeler ride. And so we did. We got further up that road, started seeing less and less sign of a car being there, and we both we both looked at each other and just like, I don't. There's just no way a car is here. There is just no way a car could be here. Some more feelings of anger came out a little bit, and just really just you're preparing. If you even find the baby, you're preparing for the absolute worst. You're preparing your mind to come across a baby that's not breathing, a 5 month old that has been left abandoned in the forest. And we kept going down this trail, and remarkably, there was a boulder on this single track that had been overturned. And this is late at night. I mean, it's dark. We barely seen anything, but that boulder I saw, and I went up to it, and I actually saw a tread where the boulder had been, where there was still some soft dirt. And I was like, Nick, we got tire marks. We still have a car somewhere. So then we pushed on a little bit forward in some pretty thick stuff, and sure enough, there was a car. At that point, we did obviously search the car, everything around the car, with nothing other than a little bit of debris from the car, some cards and stuff that had fallen out. And Nick and I both, started running the perimeter around the car, and Nick found some debris further down slope of the car, and he called me to it, and I'm like, okay, direct the search and rescue party, to this location. This is the last known location that he could have been. Let's bring everybody to this point. And he's like, okay. My radio was dead for the most part. It kept chirping at me, which means our radio's dying. I could hardly get out. Um, so I really had nothing to go on. Nick stayed at the last known location, and I just kept going down the mountain a little bit, and I found some more debris. And then I found a trail, and I circled back, and just nothing. There was a spot in the mud on the bottom of that ravine that I found where there was just no signs of tracks anywhere. And I went back to the last known spot that I had found debris. I knelt down and I said a prayer that we were just able to find the baby. And at that point, I was just happy finding a baby, the body of a baby. At that point, I wasn't going to give up the search because the baby at least needed closure. And I was fully prepared on finding a dead baby. We kept searching, and then we followed a game trail and started going up the mountain, whereas all the evidence suggested, that we're going down the mountain. And then all of a sudden there's debris and the baby carrier upslope of where we last were, and it was just no rhyme or reason other than a gut feeling and divine intervention. I asked Nick to go with me up the mountain, and we had directed the search parties to continue south or downslope of the mountain. And I told Nick my radio comms were going down. I couldn't get out. And I just asked him, I said, Nick, will you be willing to walk up the mountain with me? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. We walked up a ways, about ready to the top of the crest of the hill, and we stopped, and I even blurted out to Nick several times, like, Nick, I'm so mad that this is happening. Like, I'm so mad that we're looking for a dead baby. This sucks. We kept going further, and then Nick started bringing in more people for the search party, and then there was a break in communication, and we both heard just that slight murmur, slight whimper of a baby, and just immediately it was just started running to. I told Nick, no more comm, shut all the radio down, we needed silence. And we stopped and we listened for another second, and we heard another small noise of a baby, and it must have been within 5-10 yards of me at that point. And my lights are just shining, everything visible, and I'm walking towards the sound of that baby. And as I'm taking a step, I hear some crunches, like you're stepping on sticks. And luckily enough, my headlamp was able to depict a hand of a baby underneath a pile of sticks. And immediately after that, I recognized that there was this little breathing human right underneath my boot. And I moved the debris aside, picked up soiled baby who was cold, and just held him, gave him some kisses, and I thanked the Lord. When I first heard that baby whimper, I'm a father of three little girls, beautiful little girls. And every time a dad has a new baby, every time that first breath, that first cry comes out, and you're in the hospital room or the hospital setting, and there's just pure joy that comes out of you. I mean, you can't describe it unless you're a parent. I felt more joy hearing this little baby than I did my own kids for their very first breath. I was completely overthrown with emotion. Yeah, I did. When I saw the little guy, I didn't care police tactics, police trainings, they all went out. I saw this little tiny child. My father instincts kicked in, and I picked him up, scooped him up. We swallowed him in a down coat and a beanie hat, and I just held on to him.
And how did that baby respond when you picked him up?
He was alert, but he just seemed comforted. He did. He peered into my eyes, and I peered into his eyes. I gave him kisses on the forehead, and I looked at him, and I couldn't thank the Lord Jesus enough. I was just so happy, and he was there. It was almost like he was waiting for us to find him. I don't even remember. I think I was scooping the baby up before I even said anything. And Nick saw my furtive movements, down, and I think I said, "Hey, Nick, I got him right here. He's right underneath me." And at that point, it was kind of just hold on to him, get him warm, and get him out of there. Um, I do. I don't like sitting here, um, being alone, being portrayed as I'm the one that found him. This couldn't have been done without everybody looking. This couldn't have been done without God. This couldn't have been done without everybody doing their job. And I was just lucky enough to be the one to find the baby.